I'm Teresa Mansell. I'm the director at Child Space West. Thank you. And the next voice that you hear will be our Mayor Nutter. And thank you, Mrs. Blackwell, for being here as well. We appreciate you. I know you've been communing with our preschoolers there who've been waiting patiently, too. Love you guys.
Everybody's making all this noise, and all of a sudden it got absolutely quiet. They didn't do that for me.
We'll work with them on that.
Thank you, Mayor Nutter.
Thank you. Oh my goodness. Thank you so much, and thanks for letting us be here today. And I apologize for running late. It's been quite the day, and we're only halfway through. Teresa and all the great folks here at Child Space West. Why don't we give them another big round of applause? Yeah. Very enthusiastic clappers down there. Councilwoman Janie Blackwell is a sponsor of this ordinance and ballot question. She is recognized not just across the city, but I would suggest across the United States of America at least. And she has traveled internationally. People know her reputation is caring for those who are vulnerable, those who are seniors, those who are homeless, those who don't have food, but certainly the most vulnerable and precious of our society, our little children right here. And so what do we have? We've got, was that 4 girls and 2 boys? All right. As it should be. I have a girl and a boy. I love them both. Council President Clark and all the members of City Council, I want to thank them all for their support of this quite important initiative, and I'll talk about that in a second. Eva Gladstein, our great Executive Director, Mayor's Office of Community Empowerment and Opportunity, CEO. Dr. Laura Shore, our Chief Education Officer, and certainly Superintendent Dr. William Height. Donna Cooper, Executive Director, Public Citizens for Children and Youth. Bob Merkin and Stephanie Marsh, who worked with the Councilwoman on this legislation. Thank you so much. And Maya Giacomowitz, Katie Martin, and the entire policy office, we thank them as well. Child Space West, there obviously, bless you, a lot of places that we could go. But we know Child Space West and many of our other, of course, high-quality programs all across the city. They're developing excellent models for education. You're truly showing what can be done. You're serving as an example of what we hope will be many more high-quality opportunities for our youngest citizens in the future. I also want to thank all of our advocates and members of the business community for coming together to support of universal pre-K. Your voice has been an important part of an ongoing conversation. And so, in a more official way, good afternoon, and thank you all for being here. I'm certainly proud that Philadelphia is taking this important step toward expanding high-quality pre-kindergarten education opportunities. Now, we should be clear about what the bill and the ballot question do and what they don't do. The bill does not mean that Philadelphia will have universal pre-K learning opportunities for all children, but it does allow for our citizens to vote for the creation of this commission on universal pre-K through a question on this May's ballot. Election day is May 19th. That's kind of an important one. Every election is important, but certainly the mayor's office, members of city council, city commissioners, sheriff, register of wills, but also, I believe, 3 ballot questions this May, and this is certainly one of the important ones. Should voters approve this particular ballot measure, we will establish an independent commission which will draft an implementation and funding plan for the provision of universal high-quality pre-K without taking away any funding from existing education programs. That is the charge, that is the responsibility of the commission. We are not taking from one to give to someone else. This is a big city. We should actually be able to do both and more. The commission will be made up of 17 members, 5 appointed by the mayor, 5 appointed by City Council, 2 members of City Council, Dr. Height, and administration officials. The appointees from City Council and my office will be a variety of people who are experts in any number of areas, advocates, parents, members of the business community who, again, know the importance of early learning. This group will make recommendations regarding how to bring high-quality pre-kindergarten to all students across the city of Philadelphia, and, equally important, serious proposals on how to pay for it. If we want to educate our children, whether it's pre-K, K to 12, and I would suggest in the course of this conversation we should be thinking about literally from about the first week or so out of the hospital up through the ages of 3 or 4, we are going to have to pay for it. It is not free. It may seem free. It's not. And if we want high quality, then we will pay high quality prices. I want to note that this interest in universal pre-K is not just in Philadelphia, but also throughout the Commonwealth of Pennsylvania. In his budget, Governor Wolf has proposed substantial increases in state investments for high-quality pre-kindergarten and child care. These investments will not only improve the Commonwealth of Pennsylvania and certainly our work environment, but also these investments will bring long-term gains for the children who enter and thrive in Head Start, pre-K counts, and other high-quality early childhood options. The recommendations of this commission to implement universal pre-K in Philadelphia would, of course, build on state resources because we know, even with these proposed state increases, unfortunately, there will still be thousands and thousands and thousands of 3- and 4-year-olds without access to high-quality pre-kindergarten services. And that is something we must address because there are tangible benefits, tangible, knowable, measurable, and known and demonstrated benefits to early learning for children. Numerous studies have shown that children who participate in early education programs do better in school overall. They have better social skills. They have fewer behavioral problems or challenges, are less likely to be enrolled in special education classes, more likely to graduate, less likely to be incarcerated later in life, and have a greater earning potential over the course of their lifetime. To put it simply, children benefit greatly from high-quality early learning opportunities, and those benefits have a ripple effect throughout our entire workforce, our economy, and the communities all over this city. Today, Philadelphia, unfortunately, has the highest poverty rate of the top 10 cities in the United States of America at 26.3%. That is more than a quarter of our population, including 123,000 children. She scrunched up her face. She knew that was wrong. And only a third of Philadelphia's low-income children have access to high-quality pre-K. The remaining children, unfortunately, are losing out on invaluable development and learning opportunities. Other cities like Chicago, New York, San Francisco, and Boston have already provided preschool education to their city's children. Those cities know that the savings down the line can be tremendous just by providing educational resources at the earliest age. If our city is going to lead and grow in the 21st century, we must improve student outcomes at all levels of education. We must lower the poverty rate in the city. We must fight to eliminate disparities and provide opportunities to all of our children to help them succeed in life in every neighborhood in Philadelphia. Access to high-quality pre-K for our children will get us one step closer. Investing in education across all ages must be our priority for today and in the future. I encourage everyone to support this bold measure, the great leadership provided by the councilwoman and members of council. And let's really take a step toward preparing to educate Philadelphia's children at the youngest age. They are really counting on us. One last comment. Certainly there's been a lot of discussion already in the public. Governor Wolf released his budget. I guess that seems so long ago. It was just last Tuesday. Dr. Height released Action Plan 3.0 on Wednesday, and I released my budget that Thursday, Tuesday, Wednesday, and Thursday. I would suggest that last week was a watershed moment in education across the Commonwealth and certainly here in this city. And yes, I did propose to raise taxes one more time to educate our children. But as was said by somebody a long, long time ago, if you think the cost of education is high, I will say, try poverty, try unemployment, try illiteracy, and the many challenges that come from that. We will pay more and more and more for all three of those things than we will ever pay to make sure that these young ones have a bright opportunity and a future. The time has come for this city to come together and say, now is the time, at the Commonwealth and at the city, to finally try to give the School District of Philadelphia what they have actually asked for one of these years. We've tried and tried and tried. And yes, we raised your property taxes, and yes, we raised the use and occupancy tax, and yes, we raised parking fees and fines, and yes, we extended the sales tax, and yes, we put a tax on cigarettes. Yes, we did. The result is $362 million of new money on the table every year to educate our children. Unfortunately, it was never exactly what the school district asked for. Dr. Height sent me and Council President Clark a letter saying, I'm asking for $103 million from the city of Philadelphia and $206 million from the Commonwealth of Pennsylvania. You heard my response last week. We put $105 million on the table. They need to eliminate an $80 million deficit. We need to stop having conversations about deficits and have conversations about investments. We're going to invest in our children. They're going to do better. Our society will do better. Our city will do better. And they will do better. It's not free. It's not cheap. But all the other costs far outweigh anything else that we're ever going to do. And if Governor Wolf's proposal is successful in Harrisburg, and that's always a challenge, your FY17 tax bill for your property will actually be lower than your current tax bill for your property. So what's going to happen? They're going to go up, and then they're going to go down. But they're going to benefit no matter what. And so that's where we are. I mean, that's the real deal. And as the governor said on Tuesday, and I pretty much said on Thursday, I'm going to fight for this, because I think it's really about a fight for the future. And there'll be controversy. This is Philadelphia. There's always controversy about everything that we do. Even when we're in agreement, we argue about it. Well, I think we all agree that we want to educate our children. I think we can agree on that. Well, there's only one way to do it. We have to pay for it. And so I want to encourage you, as this budget season wears on and as you talk with different folks out in the community, not only elected officials, but talk with your friends, talk with your neighbors. This is a serious issue. It's a serious idea. It will only work with your help and your support. So before I sign the legislation, and I know what my notes say, but I'm going to make one change. I want to hear from the councilwoman to talk with us about her great work here. This is significant. This is really important. And it was because of her leadership and our collaboration that we said that we really want to make sure, for something like this to go forward, I think it's really important that you have citizen buy-in, citizen input, and citizen support. And that will ultimately help City Council as they go through this process, as the Commission's recommendations come forward. And, you know, look, let's be honest. The calendar is the calendar, and I can't stay around forever. But this work must go forward, and Council will have a blueprint, and they will have a mandate from the Commission and the way the legislation was written. They will actually have to take action. And you all as the public are going to hold them and all of us accountable for what comes out of that. So our great leader on this particular issue, and so many, many others in our city, the Councilwoman for the 3rd Council District, Councilwoman Janie Blackwell.
Thank you. Good morning. Good afternoon.
It's morning somewhere.
As always, we first thank God for the privilege of being here this afternoon to deal with the most important thing in our lives, our children. Let me say a special thank you to the mayor, because in spite of all those wonderful, wonderful things he said about me, it was his idea first to come up with this task force, and his administration with his leadership really wrote the legislation. I talked a little bit about how it could look on the ballot, but really it was his leadership that has brought us thus far. And while we may debate on how we get there, and I've heard clearly what he said about these tax issues, believe me, City Council in the final analysis has always put our children first, and we look forward to continuing in that tradition. So again, we want to say thank you to the mayor, and I'm going to ask all of you to give him and his administration a hand as he signs the legislation.
So here we have, this is bill number 150005. This is an ordinance providing for the submission to the qualified electors of the City of Philadelphia of an amendment to the Philadelphia Home Rule Charter establishing and defining the responsibilities of an independent commission on universal pre-kindergarten, fixing the date of a special election for such purpose, prescribing the form of ballot questions to be voted on, and authorizing the appropriate officers to publish notice and to make arrangements for the special election. And the question is, Section 2, there shall be placed on the ballot the following question to be answered yes or no by the qualified electors participating in the election. Shall the Philadelphia Home Rule Charter be amended to provide for the creation, appointment, powers, and duties of an independent commission on universal pre-kindergarten, which would recommend an implementation and funding plan for achieving universal, high-quality pre-kindergarten for 3- and 4-year-olds in Philadelphia without taking away funds used for existing education? What do we think the answer to that question is?
Yes.
All right. Well, I've signed a lot of bills in my time, but I never thought I'd... You want to say something? I never thought I'd have the opportunity to sign a piece of legislation. Let me leave that right there. Sign a piece of legislation. This is probably the first writing instrument I ever had, which is a Crayola crayon. Right? Doesn't get much better than that. And they got me a green one. It must be because I have my green outfit on today. And so, as they say, by the powers invested in me as the mayor of the city of Philadelphia, I am now going to sign bill number 150005.
Nice.
It will be on the ballot.
Donna and I agreed there was almost nothing more to say, right? It was, if I could roll back the clock, and if my son was about 15, 16 years younger, I could bring him up here. But again, I'm Eva Gladstein, Executive Director of the Mayor's Office of Community Empowerment and Opportunity. And why don't we do this together?
Donna Cooper from Public Citizens for Children and Youth.
And we're both just going to say a few words because this was such an important beginning in a way, and I think we want to emphasize that. Mayor Nutter made sure when we launched our anti-poverty plan, Shared Prosperity Philadelphia in 2013, he would not let us write a plan that did not include early learning. You'll remember that, and I'm so grateful for him for doing that, and so grateful to the councilwoman for being such a leader and advocate in this world, and for everybody here who's been a partner in this work. But really today is just a beginning. We have the bill signed. It means we're going to have a ballot measure. What's the day of the election?
May 19th.
May 19th, right? And even then, the electorate has to come out and vote on that day, and then we have a commission that has to do some really important and serious work. And they're going to need, because they have to come to City Council and to the mayor in January 2016, and then again in March 2016 with a plan. And that's going to be, they're going to need all of the support in this room and many thousands of other people, citizens, teachers, parents, experts in various aspects of this work. And they're probably going to have to come back out for a vote again. because, as the mayor said, to fund this work takes serious money, and so it's going to come back to us. So we just have to support the work so it's done in such a great way that as many people will be supportive in the end run so that we can really have universal access to pre-K. So we're thrilled to be here, but we also know it's a charge for the next several years to keep going. And Donna has been one of the leaders of this charge from quite a while ago, so she's going to close us out.
Yeah, just very quickly, this bill passed unanimously in City Council, which is really a testament to the great work between the administration and council to build a consensus that we need to change the situation. There are 4 chairs there. Right now, they are the number of children who do not have access to pre-K compared to the 2 beside it. We need to change that situation. We need to have enough resources so every child can be enrolled in pre-K. And I'm so pleased that Sharon and Quabilla are here and Natalie, because we all collectively collected about 4,000 signatures from Philadelphians to support the work. But that's just the beginning. So on Election Day on May 19th, there's a lot riding on that election. Obviously the mayor, obviously the judges, but the biggest vote for this future is the pre-K vote on the ballot, and we need everybody in this room and everybody involved in this to work to get it passed. So that's what our next task is.
Thank you. Thank you, Eva and Donna, and of course, I want to make sure folks vote for City Council in the May 19th election as well. I'm looking out for you. Yeah. Although yes. Be glad to take any questions. Just on a very personal note. Hopefully I can get through this because it's always a challenge for me when I talk about these kinds of things. You know, signing this legislation, and I appreciate the Councilwoman's praise, but I mean, Eva is certainly right, as we were talking about. I mean, if we're going to lower the poverty rate in this city, we know for a fact that the central element of that is education at a variety of levels. I mean, you don't even have to be smart to know that, right? I mean, that's just like, it is what it is. But it really does have to start at the earliest possible stage. It really is about great prenatal care. It's about the quality of service that a mother and parents receive when they're going through the process of trying to deliver a baby. It's what happens in the day or so or a few days after you get home. It's about reading to your children. It's about listening to music. It's about the 30 million words that some kids are not hearing as they're growing up. And so while we're talking about 3 and 4-year-olds, what we really should be talking about is 1 and 2 week-year-olds, 3 and 4 month-year-olds, 2 and 3-year-olds. But all these things take time, and we're working our way up on the K to 12, and we're working our way down on the 3 and 4-year-olds, and before you know it, we'll be doing stuff with folks in the hospital. But that's a whole other story. But look, I have 2 children, and a part of any success that they've had is that I've always emphasized education, always emphasized reading, always emphasized music and art and creativity. And I mean, I have no creative, not one creative element to me. Fortunately, my wife does. But Olivia and Christian, I mean, both had those opportunities. I mean, I remember, kind of, how you split it up. I was the morning person, Lisa was the afternoon person. Olivia went to Overbrook Presbyterian up on City Avenue. It's also where Everett Gillison, our chief of staff, his daughter went there at the same time. It's kind of how we reconnected to some extent. So, I mean, those experiences are critically important for children. It sets them on a path ready for kindergarten, ready for first grade, reading at grade level, 3rd and 4th grade. I mean, all of those things. Those are building blocks. And again, we know that children who have these experiences more often are likely to graduate from high school, go on to further learning. They're going to improve their economic situation. So this is really about investing in ourselves. It's investing in our future. And, every time we hear about something tragic that happens here in this city, and this is going to be just a very, very tough weekend for a lot of us. Later on today, is the wake for Officer Wilson. Tomorrow is the service. And so increasingly, as I talk with, the police and Lori and Vanessa Garrett Harley and a bunch of other folks, I mean, people who end up in trouble, they were that age. They were that age one time. They were 3 and 4-year-olds. They're no bad kids. They were 5 and 6. They were 10 and 12. They were 15 and 16. So the real question is, when does it happen? Where do things go haywire? Where do they break apart? And all of a sudden, a bunch of kids go and do great and wonderful things. And a very, very, very small subset end up somewhere else. They were all 3 and 4-year-olds. Somewhere. Where did we lose them? When did it happen? And I'm not saying that universal pre-K is going to stop everyone from doing bad things when they're in their teens and in their 20s. But I have every reason to believe that you can cut down on it. I have every reason to believe that if you show a person a future and a path for themselves, they are much more likely to choose the right path than the wrong path. They are much more likely to have hope. They're much more likely to have a sense of who they can be and what their future can be because someone invested in them so early on, they don't even know that there are really bad things that they could end up in because they can see a bright future for themselves. This is that moment right now. Right now. Right now. So, we have this opportunity, and it really just is up to us. And we just shouldn't let anything get in our way.